Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the We Shall Not Sleep podcast. Happy Friday to you. Thank you again for moving around your schedules. We only have 2 more weeks of this, including today, actually, and then we will be back to our regularly scheduled programming, our Wednesday releases. And man, has it been a ride? We just had our our opening preview night, technically opening nights tonight for the play, and man, I was able to take the day off of work today. I'm very grateful for that, and so that's why this episode is dropping a little bit earlier than planned, and very grateful to have had the time off. And man, it's been a ride so far with this play. We have technically 7 more performances left, and last night was so thrilling. And here's the thing, I want to just simply talk about it. It's really a culmination of the last few months. Is that I've had the theme of when you seek the Lord, He'll give you the desires of your heart. He'll give you the desires that you don't even know that you wanted. But when God gives you something that will satisfy your soul, it just goes beyond understanding of what you maybe our limited minds can think of or conceive at the time. And it's kind of like, well, I just want one piece of cake, for example, and then God says, well, what if I just give you, you know, all of the cake, for example, and you never didn't even think that was a possibility. And so that's just something that, as a metaphor, I've been using to tell people about what this last few months has been like. And it's not been all sunshine and rainbows. We've lost a lot of people in my church. Unfortunately, I've been we've been in a point of grieving, unfortunately. But at the same time, there's been a lot of joys. There's a lot of people that are suffering, and I don't want to ever make light of a situation like that either, because really, where we're at and what we're doing, um, as a community of people, it's important to understand that to serve God in both the highs and the lows, that is, in a way, it can be easy to do if you're a Christian, because, and hear me please, what I'm not saying is that it's easy to serve God when your life is not going as it in your mind ought to. But we oftentimes see people reach out to God, reach out to something when they're desperate. We praise Him when we're on the mountaintop because it's like, wow, it's very easy. But what about the 90%, the 99% sometimes of the other times of life when you're just in the in between, you're in the median, and life is just kind of going. You're in a routine, you're busy because that's at least here in the West, that's what we do. We have the luxury of being busy with a lot of extracurricular things. And I've talked to my church about this, and it's like, what about those other times? And I've been experiencing these big swings of emotion, um, and truly, um, this experience of doing this play that's a fulfillment of a dream, really, and then still walking through life and death with others, going to work and having great days at work, followed by some very slow days at work, and not being around family as much as I want to, and then celebrating my birthday with a lot of great people. And it's just a reminder there's so many things out there to be grateful for, and that's why it takes a moment when you can look back over your life and seeing where God has delivered you from and where God has taken you to. You know, today my dad left a tribute on Facebook because today is my birthday, and I'm not saying that to bring attention to myself, but he was just telling kind of the story of my childhood, and I had a lot of medical problems from very early on, and um, it was all God that brought me through that. It was for a reason. And a couple weeks ago on this podcast, I talked about when God gives you a gift, it's incumbent upon us to be good stewards of that gift. Not just saying, hey, when God answers your prayers, how then can you use that gift for the kingdom? How do you not squander it? How can, yes, you be met with something that you want, which is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. But at the same time, you can say, but also, God, how can I turn this gift into something that glorifies you? And with that in mind, taking that stewardship, what about your whole life though? What has God already brought you through? And it's about this perspective. And so being grateful today, I'm grateful for so many things. My mother, my dad, my church family, my friends, my boss Mike and his whole family, Jessica, um, his wife, and all of their kids, Jordan, Iris, Kate, Jillian, Benjamin, Claire. They sent me a birthday message today, and it just makes your heart smile. To my castmates the last few weeks, to new friendships. But as I'm saying that, I look back over the last couple of years and look at breaking of friendships, ending of personal ones, lifelong ones, hard decisions, deliverance from sickness, from loved ones, from where my mom was at 2 years ago of almost being on her deathbed, and then coming home and coming out of all of that. It's nuts. It's nuts to think about all of that, and I'm so incredibly grateful for where we have come as a whole family personally, but it has to be filtered through God. You see, it's this idea of like, well, yeah, I serve God, whatever, but I do it at my own luxury. I do it at my own convenience. And then there's a point in my life where I'm like, well, what if I didn't do it at my own convenience? What if I did it when it was inconvenient to me? Not having any of these things guaranteed because I didn't serve God so I could be guaranteed something. It's not a prosperity preaching, but living a life full of gratitude, understanding that it is a privilege to wake up every day and to go to work for the Lord. That's where I've really tried to change my mind, change my whole attitude towards all of this. And it truly has changed my life. And so I am grateful today to Jesus, his sacrifice. I'm grateful for his ever persisting grace and his mercy that he's there to forgive me. He's able to offer a hand even when I don't want it, even when I don't realize what it will entail. And none of this is guaranteed, and I'm just beyond blessed, and all of that has come by giving more to God. The word abundance is used plenty of times in scripture. A lot of the sinister preaching out there ties that into money and success and all these things. And that has nothing to do with it. Evil people prosper all the time, and good people, unfortunately, are the sufferers from really bad people and bad circumstances. Jesus himself says that, we will be hated because of him. Now, contextually, that might not always be true because there are over 7 billion of us. God's directing our lives. Hopefully, if you're surrendering to him, you're walking in harmony with him, then you have a life of peace. And that's the other thing too. Peace. Just peace. Not worrying, not being anxious. You see, I did a radio interview a couple days ago, or this last week. It was this past Monday, and it was promoting the show. And this was on the heels of doing a little ad read, and in years past, and this is where I just have got to remind people like the perspective. So 6 years ago, again, I'm coming back from a run, and I'm like, God, I'm just not going to worry about anything anymore. You tell us not to worry, so I'm not going to worry. And from there, my life trajectory has been, and I've told it before, but I want you guys to paint this picture. It is as simple as surrendering to God. Give everything to Him. Stop worrying. Stop it. It's not that difficult to wrap your mind around it. It takes a tremendous amount of discipline. I'm not saying you don't need medication. I'm not saying any of that stuff. I'm just telling you my story is that I have felt anxiety. I've had that paralyzing fear. I've had my mood and my all outside of my day change. I've had my heart rate rise. I've had all my armpits, sweat even through deodorant because I've been so anxious. In high school, when a meet was on Friday and it was Monday morning, I was paralyzed with anxiety of thinking if I don't run really fast, I'm everything. My life is going to be over. And so I wouldn't pay attention. I would be out of my mind. In practice, I wouldn't be focused because I was so anxious about this thing that wasn't happening for 4 days. And you look back and it's so foolish. So 2 weeks ago, when I do this radio spot, I have to drive down before work to do this thing. And I'm so grateful that I have the opportunity to do it. And I didn't really think about it. I just got in there. I had my little line, read it in one take, and we were done. Took less than a minute. 6 years ago, I'd been thinking about that. I'd have lost sleep over it. When I did this ad read before, or this live show, we were on the live radio for 8 or 9 minutes. Wasn't concerned at all. Didn't sweat. I was not worried. I'd prepared. I know what I was going to do. It's not like I'm just winging something. No. I mean, I know what I need to do. I've had experience on the radio before and doing this. I was in character for the ad read, and then I was just myself. I don't need practice being myself. And then last night for preview night, February 2nd, I wasn't, I was excited. I was anticipating some cool things, but I wasn't worried. Yeah, a little nervous, maybe, but I wasn't anxious at all. I'm just excited. You know how thrilling and how much freedom you can experience? You're not worried about anything anymore because you just are comfortable with yourself. You've lessened yourself in the eyes of God. You're not that important after all. You are highly valued and highly favored by the Most High King who died for you, but you are not the most important person in the world. See, my anxiety derived from my own ego. I am the most important person. The radio station will collapse if I don't do my job well today. You know how conceited that is? That's where it came from. And once I've done better at humbling myself, I'm not saying I still don't struggle with pride. I'm talking about before God and saying, God, please, I have prepared. I know that you're with me, Father. Let my heart be tuned to you. I'm going to leave it all out there, and that's all I can do. May your grace go before me. That is my prayer. It's so simple, and enjoy it. Especially when God gives you a gift, He answers your prayer, and you don't enjoy it. You're kind of slapping God in the face. So that's where I've come from. I hope this helps, ladies and gentlemen. I do, because I've got to share that this trajectory my life has been on has nothing to do with me. I could not do it. I tried to do it for years. I tried to arrange girlfriends. I tried to arrange my life financially and do all these things myself. And I was fighting against the wind. I was trying to row upstream. It was all for naught. Of course it was, because I'm trying to do it myself. My track record is terrible. But with God allowing Him to take it, look what's happened. And if anything, just hear me, please. Get down on your knees before you go to bed tonight, or when you wake up in the morning, and just say, God, I give this day to you. I don't want to worry about things anymore. I don't want to be anxious. I want your peace from your Spirit that you promised us. I want to feel that. And that means a lessening of myself. I must decrease so you must increase. I hope you take this to heart. May God bless you. May God keep you.